it's funny. It gives us more information about him, right? Like games like these and last game. I mean, he could, fight for a rotation spot. That's what he's on the edge, right? And but you don't know how the playoffs go. We could need a 6'7", 6'8" guy that can rebound like him, and I've been really pleased with his defense. He makes mistakes offensively, which is perfectly fine, but I've been really pleased with his defense and rebounding. Yeah.
What did you think of Imani today?
Good. Listen, he's gotten better from the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season is trying to find his way. Obviously had the injury, but he's improved. Listen, when you have a guy that can long range shoot like him, there's a place for him in this league. I think he's gotten better. Dan, just want a little bit of regret on my part for not getting those guys some reserves, right? I kept them in the whole time, and I think they ran out of gas, quite honestly. But part of the thinking was, hey, let's see if they can fight through this. Let's see if they can get through it. But you could easily argue, hey, you should have gotten some fresh legs in there. Give those, spell those guys a little. We're 8 for 39 in the second half from three. We couldn't make a shot, but 85 to 90% of it, I love what our young guys did. I thought they played really well.
Ash. What about Tristan? 20 rebounds, and obviously you talked about pregame, like you guys might need him for some spot minutes in these series, but to see that vintage,
we're going to need him. I know. I just feel it. There's going to be a time in the playoffs where we're not rebounding the ball, and we're going to need his physicality and his know-how. So that was great to get him a run tonight. Great, he got, two really positive. Great, he got those 20 rebounds. And then, Quan, I was worried about his knee on that, so thank God, he came out of that okay, no issues there.
And then just, a few weeks removed from the 4-game losing streak, I know Donovan's talked about it a little bit, that, sometimes he likes going through adversity.
Yeah.
He called himself psychotic for, getting to problem solve and things like that. A few weeks removed, do you feel like there was something there, like problem solving or anything along those lines that'll be beneficial as you now enter the postseason?
I do feel, and this did happen when you go through a stretch, like communication opens up more, and that's where Don's a great leader. Hey, I think we could maybe use this end of game, or should we, take this out of our playbook, or whatever it is, right? But all of a sudden, some teams, guys clam up and they don't talk. With this team, I feel like when we hit a little bump in the road, they're communicating. We're communicating with them, and then through that, like you said, it's problem. Then you solve the problem. You try to solve the problem. You spend more time. Where if you're just winning, it's just okay. Next game. We still review and all that, but it's not as intense. Kind of the problem solving kind of portion of it.
Ethan.
Kenny, 64-18. You guys have the second best record in Cavs franchise history. What does it mean to you to just be in this situation, coming into your first year, and have the success that you did?
And just, it's thrilled for the guys. They like I said when I first saw, they knew, they felt like they could do better, felt like that could be a contender, and wanted to get to that next level. And that's where it starts, right? It doesn't start now when the play starts. The first game is the 82 games, and that's it's a heck of accomplishment. I think we're celebrating. A couple guys said, congrats on a heck of a season, right? Like you're at that point, but now, Ethan, we gotta kind of, we'll take a day, breathe a little, and then we'll get back at it, get back to work, and start focusing on the playoffs.
Knowing Naquan Tomlin's story and where he came from, no AAU, no high school basketball, for him to have kind of a showing like he did tonight and being off of a two-way contract, even not even being on a two-way before the start of the season, have you seen somebody like that in the league?
Listen, it's a great find by our organization, right? You got to find these guys. You got the scouting, and that's Kobe's group, and he's got a real chance. I'm not saying that because he's a Cav or he's got two-way. My honest opinion, he's got a real chance. When you have that type of length, he's always around the ball. He's got a really good really good IQ, real good feel for the game, and then he's not afraid to shoot it from three and not shy, and he's got a lot of characteristics that translate in this league. So he's got a real shot. I think glad the fans got to see him a little more. I know with the Charge, people, but maybe some of our fans hadn't seen him yet. But he's an really interesting player.
What do you hope these kids take away from this experience today?
Man, I just 80% of the game isn't good enough, right? In the NBA, it's like you have to be able to sustain, and sustain means you have to execute end the game. You have to have the discipline, and then quite honestly, your habits kick in, right? Like, how conditioned am I? Can I play 40 minutes in an NBA game, or 35 or 38? That's and all of a sudden that was upon them, right? But all those things matter, and that's why the Darius Garlands, the Donovan Mitchells, the Evan Mobley. That's why they're all-star. They can sustain. They're disciplined. They can execute end of game. I mean, that's why they're great players. So it was great that our young players kind of went through that. Now, I'm sure they're like, man, they're hungry to improve, so they can get to that level.
And now that you got these 82 done, and
Yeah.
the second season begins, just how do you feel about the state of affairs as you now get ready for this playoff push, and you have to basically sit and wait a week to find out who you're even going to play?
I think we're in a great place. Kind of love where we are. Like I said, we're healthy. That's the most important thing. And I think we're hungry, right? This group is hungry, right? You guys have been talking about it all year, asking, what about the playoff? Well, it's here. They want to prove themselves. They want to prove that they can get to the next level. I think we all have a chip on our shoulder, right? Like, there's doubts, right, which is normal when you haven't made that next jump. You made a good jump. Now it's kind of going good to great is the hardest of all. But I feel like we're in a good place physically and mentally.
Last two, Spence and then Chris.
Stemming kind of off of Ashley's question
Yeah.
about Donovan's leadership. You've seen both this year, what he's able to do on the floor and what he's able to do as a leader. Is he a better leader or is he a better player?
Oh, that's a great question. I would, we all know his talents, and I would say this season, it was more important that he was a great leader. Like, it's almost, he's got, we all know the talent and the player that he is, but it was, I think the number one priority was him leading this and making the sacrifices he made and empowering. The play is going to kind of be the play, with him. It's the talent is there. It's his mentality coming into this year, his ability to kind of change, empower Evan, empower Darius, help JA, flip his rotation, flip who he's playing with, shorten his minutes, minute rotation, all that stuff. If you went out and wrote an article and say that was the number one key to the season, I wouldn't argue with you.
Chris.
Kevin, you mentioned that chip on the shoulder and people talking about the playoffs in this organization. Did you sense that immediately from this group when you got here?
Yeah, and I think I've been saying we're humble and hungry. I don't know if that rings, but that's kind of who we are, and that I think Donovan's just keeps repeating it. Right, we haven't done anything yet. That to me, that's not a bravado thing, right? It's more like, there's a humility to what he's saying, and everybody understanding, and he's not on the mountaintop saying, hey, we're gonna go win the championship. None of that stuff. But within the humility, there's a hunger in that locker room. They want to prove people wrong. That's what this is about, right? It's about sports and life, and we are. I just think we're a team ready to go physically and mentally.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.